This week, the Dogs are going to play the Bulldogs, not the D-A-W-G, D-A-W-G-S. There you go. Spelling's hard. But Georgia's going to play the Mississippi State Bulldogs in Starkville. And I don't think this is going to be an easy game. You look at who Mississippi State's played this year, the games they've given to Tennessee, the game, like we said, with Florida that they should have won, Texas that they should have won. I mean, there's probably arguments that they should have won Tennessee as well. So finally get their first conference win. So you see the stats on the screen here, 2025 against Power 4 teams. They're 2-4 this year. The other win out of conference being to Arizona State. Georgia, the only Power 4 competition they've played has been in the conference this year. They're 5-1. You look at points per game, pretty similar. Georgia averaging 31.2 points per game in those. Mississippi State averaging 27.3. But points allowed, I think, is one I highlighted there. They're giving up 32 points a game in Power 4 games. Georgia giving up just 24. Which isn't great, 24, but it is, more than a touchdown less than Mississippi State. And then you just look at the run game. Like this Georgia, we just know Georgia wants to run the ball. Like Gunnar Stockton, I think, has been good, like just really good when Georgia's asked him to make plays. But it feels like Georgia's ideal game is a game where Gunnar throws for 250 yards and they run for about 225. Or, I guess run for 250, throw for 250 and one run for 250. That's Georgia's ideal game, to be perfectly balanced. And I think you look at what Mississippi State's been on the ground this year, only averaging 109 yards a game on the ground. Georgia averaging over 170, and then Mississippi State giving up 194 yards a game on the ground, and Georgia's giving up just 105. So interesting, 3.7 yards per carry versus 3.6 yards per carry, even though they've given up so many more yards on the ground. But yeah, I tend to think this should be a game that Georgia can dominate on the ground, but it's Starkville and it's noon and things could be a little weird, a little 11 a.m. local kickoff.
I definitely think it is going to get a little weird. If this being a trap game is any indicator, we started talking about the Texas game before the Mississippi State game on the Mississippi State episode. So that's how much of a trap game this could be for Georgia. And yeah, it's not hard to see why. I mean, these guys are coming off their biggest win in the last few years, really. I mean, ever since Mike Leach tragically passed away, I think last week is probably the biggest Mississippi State win yet, though, right? Like there's not anything else.
Yeah, I know they went winless in the conference last year. They may not have won a game in 2023.
They're coming off of a great comeback victory, and even beyond that, if that one win aside, like this is the best Mississippi State team that we've seen in years. They've been in some really close games this year. Like they should have beaten Florida, they should have beaten Texas, and they were in a close game against Tennessee. Like the only game they had that really wasn't close was A&M got them pretty good. But yeah, this is a good team with a good offense. Veteran quarterback Blake Shapen. He got banged up last week, came back in, led him in the fourth quarter on that comeback. And I think Mississippi State has two of the most underrated playmakers in the entire SEC. One of them we know pretty well, Anthony Evans, the former Dog, but their leading receiver, Brennan Thompson, is also a beast. Like he is probably just one of the deadliest deep threats in all of college football, probably just one of the fastest guys in the country, period. Like he's a flash. He's really good. I think he's averaging 17 yards a catch. He's a baller, and they've got guys that can really stretch the field and make plays. And Georgia has kind of had trouble with that. They had a lot of trouble with Tennessee, and I feel like that's kind of a similar offense where it's, they want to stretch you out wide and beat you deep with their playmakers. And if that's the case and Mississippi State hits a few explosives early, yeah, this could get pretty weird.
Yeah, and they have an experienced quarterback too that can get the ball to these playmakers. Like he's a good, not great, but he can definitely have a game where he can go off on you. What do you have that game? You have 4 touchdowns, no picks, I think, against somebody a couple weeks ago. Shapen has been really solid for them. But yeah,
he went off against Texas.
Okay, yeah, it's
Yeah.
Texas. But yeah, I'm definitely discouraged to see Anthony Evans because you saw some of the wiggle that he had at times. He just was never really a big part of Georgia's offensive game. But you saw like some of the talent that he had, some of the explosiveness. Almost took that punt to the house in that SEC championship game, which may have been like his
Man.
first punt return of his career.
Yeah.
When Georgia had all the momentum in that game
Oh man, I
uh,
forgot about that. Like the
against
Bama.
Alabama,
Mm.
2023.
Ugh.
But yeah, so good for him that he's finally starting to make some plays. He's a little
He,
diet Zachariah
he went
Branch.
he went off last week.
He's a playmaker. Yeah, dude, and he's stout too for a guy his size. Like he's physical.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, he's a nice weapon there, and yeah, like you said, Brennan Thompson. They have some solid playmakers.
Brennan Thompson.
So I don't think this game's gonna be easy. Like I think like you said, it could definitely be a trap game. We're over here looking ahead to Texas, but I know Kirby and the gang is not looking ahead. But yeah, Georgia, Kirby's 4-0 against Mississippi State in his career. Played him a year ago, 1-0. So he's 1-0 against Jeff Levy, and that one got a little too close for comfort against a pretty terrible team that doesn't have Michael Van Buren anymore. But I mean, they got Shaven. Wonder what Van Buren will be. I mean, he hasn't even gotten a look at all, right? With Nussmeier kind of struggling at
Yeah,
times.
I don't think he has. Oh, Mississippi State's got one more guy that I want to highlight at quarterback. That the true
Okay.
freshman Camario Taylor. I don't
Oh
know if you
yeah.
saw the Arkansas game last week, but Shapen got injured on like the first play of the second half. Like he got drilled and had to come out of the game. And Camario Taylor came in and led them on a touchdown drive. He throws a dot to Anthony Evans on a post route for like a 50-yard touchdown on like the third play that he's in or whatever. And then on the next drive, he leads them on another touchdown drive and scores on like a 20-yard run. Like he's a really good athlete, and they consider him to be like the future of the Mississippi State program and everything. And they've had some like packages this year where basically it's Camario. They're both on the field at the same time, Shapen and Taylor. It'll be Shapen will be out wide or something, and Taylor will be taking the snap, and then like you have to worry about that. And so I don't know. They do a lot of really interesting things with those guys at times. And last week was Camario Taylor's first time really being pressed into action, and he was a huge part of the game. He really delivered and came through for a huge win. And he's a really good athlete and just a really fun player overall. And I am very interested to see what they do with him in this game.
Yeah, that's a good call. He's a big athlete too. Like that's you saw Ole Miss do some like weird stuff with Chambliss and with like two quarterbacks and things like that. Yeah, that is a good call. And I don't know. I'm concerned about anyone that can consistently move the ball in the pass game, really, because there's been a lot of teams that have picked Georgia apart that way. It's like, how different is Blake Shapen from Joey Aguilar this year? Like a guy that can throw some picks, but a guy that throws a lot of touchdowns too. Like Ty Simpson, Trinidad Chambliss, they all picked this Georgia defense apart. So they're coming off a good performance against DJ Lagway in the bunch, but Lagway hasn't really had many good games this year. So I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this game. It's hard in 2025 to feel like super confident about any game when you see the way this Georgia Bulldogs team plays with everyone for 4 quarters, it seems like.
Yeah, absolutely. This Georgia team, they let well, I'm not even gonna say they let teams hang around. It's more like teams let them hang around, and then they come back and win in the fourth quarter. But this is a Georgia team that has struggled to start games, and they've kind of struggled in the middle-ish part of games because they always end up having to pull it out in the fourth quarter. So absolutely, if they can go out there on the road and have another one of those funky starts on offense that they sometimes have, and Mississippi State has a big player too, who knows what could happen if those cowbells start going off in Starkville, and the crowd gets into it, definitely. But I don't know. I think the reason that I'm not like counting out Mississippi State at all. I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park. But the reason that I do think Georgia will ultimately win is kind of the same reason that they pulled out their last few games. It's just I expect them to be a lot better up front than Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Georgia's offensive line is starting to finally be healthy, and they have played really well these last 2 weeks. I mean, they've been mashing. They've been protecting Gunnar Stockton well, and they've been doing well in the running game. And on the other side of that, as much as Georgia's defensive front really has not been great this year, they've gotten good linebacker play. C.J. Allen's been a stud this year, and Georgia's defensive line, I think, is still better than Mississippi State's offensive line. I think Shapen is going to have a lot of clean pockets and a lot of time to throw, but Georgia's been able to defend the run well this year, and I just think that Georgia will be able to force Mississippi State into a ton of just true drop back, obvious passing situations that, they'll have to drop back and pass. You can't use play action or anything like that. And that's where I think Georgia will be able to kind of pin their ears back and win the game a little bit.
Yeah, Georgia's in terms of run defense, Georgia's worst performance in terms of run defense was at Auburn, gave up 140 yards on the ground. Mississippi State's basically given that up against every single Power 4 team they've played. Outside of Texas, who only had 72 yards on the ground. Granted, they did throw for 350, so it kind of balances out. But they give up 299 on the ground to A&M, 251 to Arizona State, 239 at Arkansas, 172 at Florida, and then 131 versus Tennessee. And Tennessee isn't even a team that's been able to run the ball that well like they can most years. So I have a hard time seeing Georgia not be able to put up 150, 180 yards on the ground against this team. And as much as the Mississippi State's pass game does worry me, I don't think it's better than a couple of the teams we've seen Georgia play. So what did Ole Miss manage? 35 points on Georgia? What was it 41-35 or something? What was that score? 43-35.
43-35.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at these teams' averages, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, I think that's what they're gonna do. It's like Georgia's giving up 24 points a game, scoring 31 a game. Mississippi State scoring 27 a game, giving up 33 a game. It's like, yeah, it seems like it's gonna be about something like that. Like I don't see Georgia scoring less than 34, 35 points in this game. I worry that Mississippi State could score 30 on Georgia, but I'm gonna say that Georgia ultimately does. What's the spread? Any idea? I haven't even looked at it.
7.5. It's not crazy.
I think I'm gonna say they cover.
Georgia's favored by 8.5.
8.5. I'm gonna say Georgia covers, and I'm gonna say they win this game. I'm gonna say 34-24. And I think this is going to be a good competitive game, and hopefully Gunnar Stockton doesn't slide at the end. But yeah, I think Georgia will take care of business in a game that's going to be way too comfortable or too close for Georgia fans to be comfortable for 3.5 quarters.
Yeah, 34-24 is a good call. I agree with you. I think Mississippi State is going to be able to score points in this game just because they've really been able to do that all year. They've been a good offense through the air, but I think Georgia will make them one-dimensional in a way that Mississippi State will not be able to do to Georgia. I think Georgia, when the going gets tough this year, has still been able to run the ball pretty much whenever. They haven't really given up on the run at any point this year, and that's paid off for them. Mississippi State hasn't really been able to run the ball at all. And so I think if Georgia can kind of force them to live in these third and long situations, they won't be able to convert at a clip that I think Alabama did, hopefully, right? But, yeah, so I think Georgia will control this game. I think they'll control the pace, and I think they'll dominate. Maybe not dominate. I think they'll win on both lines of scrimmage ultimately. So, yeah, I'll go with Georgia as well. I'll say – let me think. I'll go. Yeah, I mean, dang, you had a pretty good one. You had one. I'd probably say that as well. But I'll be a little different. Than yours. I'll say Georgia 30. I'll say 38-24 Georgia. So I got them by a little more than you do. But
Yeah, and I think there is a scenario where Georgia can dominate this game. Like, I mean, it is Mississippi State. They're not one of the better teams in the conference. It's just it feels like we've seen this offense look like kind of unstoppable at times, and then they'll go 2 quarters, not without being able to get a first down or something. Like it's kind of weird with what this team has been. But I think you made a good point that it goes back to my original point earlier of just kind of this team being judged like just incorrectly. Is there is like this narrative that Georgia just lets teams hang around or whatever, and it's like, no, maybe just Georgia's in close games with teams that are basically as good as they are. Like, I think that's kind of what it is, and they found ways to win. Like, I don't think they're this great team that flips a switch or something, and then there's some great team that's playing mediocre and then they flip the switch. I think they're just kind of playing close games with evenly matched teams, and then they make enough plays at the end to win. Like, I don't know. Am I
Are
wrong?
Florida and Auburn really like on Georgia's level though? Those teams have
I
losing
mean,
records.
they shouldn't be, but
They
the
do.
SEC. I mean, look at Auburn. What Auburn's done all season, though. Like A&M's the
I
undefeated number 3 team in the country. They lost like 16 to
I
10.
I agree with you that Georgia is maybe the close games thing is like misrepresented by the media, but I don't think it's because they're just in close games with teams that are evenly matched. You can't say Florida and Auburn are evenly matched with Georgia.
No, but I guess you're probably right. I guess I'm just saying Georgia's not as good as people think they are. So it's like it's not like it's
Yeah,
some
I agree.
juggernaut that's playing with their food. It's like, no, that's just this team that's not
Yeah,
that great that's finding ways to win, you know?
yeah, I agree with that. It's just the Georgia reputation kind of precedes them, but
Yeah.
like it's football college, they don't have a dead star team like they had in 2022. That's just not the reality anymore, and we've been saying it all year. The pass rush isn't the same. The guys just aren't the same up there. So yeah, but no, yeah, that's definitely what it is. It's just the Georgia name. People expect them to go out there and dominate because that's what they've done and that's what they expect themselves to do. And that just hasn't been the case this